everyone. I'm Crystal Reminiscent. I'm the President and CEO of Shawnee Forward. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate that. And thank you to OBU for hosting us. Can we give them a round of applause, please? And our two sponsors, both SSM Health and Bank First, made this day possible for us. So thank you as well. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize a few people who are in the room with us today. I'm going to start with my board of directors. Angie Moore with SSM Health, our chair. Jeff Madison, Chick-fil-A. Tina Hanna with South Central Industries. Dr. Jim Collard with Citizen Potawatomi Nation. Steve Wallace with Vision Bank. Jason Knight with United Dynamics. And Josh Trimble with Bethany's Children's Center. Could you all stand up, please, so you could be recognized? These are the folks that really are leading our organization. We also have a few other folks in the room that I'd like to recognize. Senator Shane Jett, State Representative Del Kurtz. We also have Lacey Pittman with Senator Mark Wayne Mullins' office. We also have Marlon Banner with Stephanie Bice's office. And we have our county commissioners, Melissa Dennis and Greg Rush, with us today, as well as some of our city commissioners, our mayor, Eric Stevens, Ward 1 Commissioner Daniel Matthews, Ward 3 Commissioner Chris Oddmeal, I didn't see him, and Ward 4 Ashley Fitchter. Thank you all for being here. Before we start our program, I wanted to point out two things that are in front of you on the table. There are tent cards that have a QR code on it. For our city manager's presentation, we're inviting you, if you would like to ask a question of the city manager, you can scan that QR code and submit that question so that she can answer those at the end of her presentation. So feel free to send those in at any time. We'll close that at about 10 of 1, I believe. Economic development is more than just about growth. It's about building a thriving, resilient, inclusive community where opportunities abound and every resident has a pathway to success. One of the keys we're achieving that is by investing in education, specifically through Pathways to Professions program that we're launching now. This initiative will bridge the gap between our education system and the needs of local businesses by exposing students to careers that exist right here in our community, as well as providing them with the skills needed for those careers. We're creating a talent pipeline that not only benefits our students, but also strengthens our local economy. On our table, there's also a sheet that's called Pathways to Professions. We are asking our local businesses to help us with this program by providing some assistance in your areas of expertise. If you would be willing to take a look at that, and if your business would be willing to do any of those items, please check that off and leave that with us. And if there are exclusions to that, you can fill that out on the back and then leave it with us before we leave today. That would be greatly appreciated. This program will be successful through collaboration. And we're ensuring that Shawnee is not just a great place to live and learn, but also a place where businesses will want to invest because they see the potential where businesses have a well-prepared workforce. This makes us more competitive in attracting new business and investment, and it ensures that we're setting our students and our city up for long-term success. But like I said, collaboration is the key to achieving this vision. Whether it's providing resources for our existing businesses, bringing new businesses to Shawnee, improving infrastructure, or investing in programs like Pathways to Success, it's our partnerships that will drive our progress. I'm excited for the future we're building together, and I believe working alongside each other is the key to moving Shawnee forward. And now it is my honor to introduce someone who is equally committed to the future of our community. Our newly elected mayor, Eric Stevens, is here to share his personal thoughts and vision for Shawnee. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Stevens to the stage.
for that introduction, Crystal. Good afternoon, everybody. So, I'm 54, so I have to have these glasses, so forgive me. I'm delighted to be here today for my first State of the City. As most of you probably already know, I don't claim to be a public speaker, but occasions like today will undoubtedly help me up my game. When I filed to run for Shawnee Mayor last April, it was a jump head first into the deep end of the political pool. Thankfully, I came up for air, and now we're pushing full steam ahead. Having lived in Shawnee almost my entire life and having had business here for more than 30 years, I knew there was a need for change in our community's trajectory. My campaign message was straightforward and simple, and it resonated throughout the community. We focus on city priorities, and we need to conduct city business in an open and transparent manner. It is also critically important that we take a serious look at our spending and prioritize services and programs that benefit all Shawnee residents, while also ensuring the fiscal stability of our community. As your mayor, I'm committed to working with city commissioners and the city manager to do just that. Working together, I believe we can keep the jobs we have, create a climate for business expansion, and recruit new industries, all while addressing the pressing needs of streets and infrastructure repairs. The citizens of Shawnee deserve a well-run city they can be proud to call home. And yes, we must also preserve historical buildings like the Santa Fe Depot and forge even stronger community partnerships with the Pottawatomie County Government, Shawnee Public Schools, Gordon Cooper Technology Center, OBU, tribal nations, and others, enhancing our tremendous community legacy. Each of us here today is a vital thread in our city's vibrant tapestry, and together we are shaping a future filled with promise, potential, and possibility. And let's be clear, growth is not just a number on a chart, it represents our collective dreams and aspirations. It embodies the hope of a better tomorrow for our children, our neighbors, and ourselves. But with growth comes responsibility. We must ensure that as our community expands, we hold on to the values that first brought our community together: kindness, respect, and unity. Let's foster an environment where every voice is heard and where collaboration becomes our greatest strength. It is in our unity that we will find resilience, allowing us to face challenges with courage and creativity. By investing in local businesses, we empower our economy and build a thriving community. We can nurture our youth by providing them with opportunities for education and involvement, ensuring they are equipped to lead us into the future. And let's not forget the importance of connection. In a world that often feels divided, Shawnee can serve as a model of togetherness. Whether through community events, volunteer initiatives, or simply checking in on one another, let's cultivate relationships that strengthen the bonds that we share. Together, we can build this future. It starts with us. Every conversation, every act of kindness, every step we take toward collaboration. Let's commit to being the change we wish to see, to dream bigger, and to reach higher. The future is bright for Shawnee, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as your mayor. It's a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. I'd also like to give a special shout out to OBU for allowing us to put on this event here. I have a special relationship with OBU, it goes back several decades. I have several alumni in my family, including my mom and my wife. Speaking of which, my wife and I were married in Stubblefield Chapel. Our reception was in this very room, so this is like a wonderful homecoming for me. And my children went to school here studying music from the age of about 6 months old until graduating high school. They studied in choir and piano. So I've had a long lasting relationship with OBU. I actually used to work out here in the early 90s. Then when I went to contracting plumbing, I contracted to OBU. So I've been all over this campus. I started out mowing the grass out here, working on Grounds Creek. So it's been a big, long circle of a journey, and I'm really, really happy to be back here. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our wonderful city manager, Ms. Andrea Beckmuller-Berenger. Thank you.
I brought half of the forest, but it's for good reason. Welcome. Hello to everyone. I am so glad to see so many of you in the room for our 2024-2025 State of the City Address. This is the first time that we are jointly hosting this with Shawnee Forward, and we're doing so outside of the City Commission chamber because we recognize that at the end of the very long sometimes City Commission meeting, we have like 3 people left in the room and they don't want to hear anymore about all of the awesome things that are going on in the city. And oh my goodness, our future is truly awesome. As speakers before me, I would also like to start off by saying thank you to the Oklahoma Baptist University for allowing us to use this beautiful, wonderful room. I'm putting in dibs for next year because this is really awesome. The food was great, the service is great, the atmosphere is wonderful, and the sound system. Can you hear me? Awesome. Most of you already know me. I see many friendly faces in this room, and I am so excited. But for those of you in the room who may not, my name is Andrea Wegmuller-Behringer. For the past 3 years, it has been my honor to serve as your city manager. And today, as part of the third State of the City of Shawnee presentation, I would like to showcase what our community has accomplished this year and what we will be focusing on for the year to come. And look at that, isn't that exciting? Did you know we live in an award-winning city? It is true. Every year, the American Planning Association selects from among published plans that stand out for their originality and innovative approach, the inclusive engagement effort, and the building of public support, and the advancement of successful planning and community shaping initiatives. And our Shawnee Twin Lakes Master Plan was exactly that, and it was appropriately recognized as the APA Oklahoma Chapter's Outstanding Plan for 2024. Isn't that awesome? And this is hot off the press. The Quad State APA Planning Conference took place just last week, so we literally just got it. I have time to include it in the presentation. Go Team Shawnee! And just this truly goes to show that new and great things continue to happen. And that, in addition to our long and illustrious history, think about it. We are now 130 years old. Indeed, we precede statehood. The city's strategic location at crossroads of fort routes, cattle trails, railroads really helped Shawnee flourish during that first turn of the century. And then in the first decade of the 20th century, Shawnee adopted its charter. So we have our own constitution. We're kind of very special among Oklahoma cities. And since 1930, the city has also operated under a council-manager form of government, and that is very important because that sets us apart. Now, what does that really mean for us? As you know, the City Commission consists of 7 members, 3 of whom are here today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Our mayor is elected by all citizens, whereas individual commissioners are voted on by residents who reside in that specific ward. Commission members serve a 4-year staggered term because you never ever want the whole commission changing at the same time, because government is a very complex and very difficult thing. And so it provides continuity to have these 4-year staggered terms. And I would be amiss if I did not mention that our mayor and commissioners, they truly have a heart for public service because they do this as unpaid volunteers. Don't believe anything you see on the internet. Under the council-manager form of government, once elected, the City Commission is tasked with setting policies and ordinances. The task of implementing these commission-set rules and laws then falls to the city manager and staff. There we operate the city day to day. We oversee what is going on, and As you know, the city manager is appointed by the city commission, so we work very closely together because I want to make sure that I understand the rules and policies that were put in place, and we can appropriately implement those to make it count for the city. Ultimately, we work together, and only together will we achieve that success. Spread across 12 departments, I then work with many different department heads and managers, some of whom just supervise a staff of 1, others supervise a staff of 100. Altogether, the city has about a force of 300 full-time equivalent employees. And it is relatively bare bones for a city of our size, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But this city staff is dedicated totally for the benefit of the community. And so we provide a full-service city to our 32,000 residents. Now, before we continue, I would like to give a warm welcome to our city commission. Several members who are present today. Mayor Eric Stevens, thank you so much for being here. Commissioner Daniel Matthews, Commissioner for Ward 1, Commissioner Ashley Fichtner for Ward 4. I cannot thank you enough for your heart for public service. Without you, the city would not be where it is, because you really, really have a heart for service. We all know that we have many more state representatives here in the room. We have field representatives for our congressional delegation. This is truly, it is through that working together, through that collaboration, that we move the city of Shawnee forward. Not just at the city level, at the state level too, also at the congressional level, because when we have an issue with one of our federal entities, I can pick up the phone, call a field representative, or call a senator and say, we've got issues, can you help? And so together we really work better. Thank you all for the time you dedicate. I know that we don't say that often enough, but can we give all of our elected officials just a quick round of applause? So, going back to our full-service city, great. This is all the city commission and the city staff provide for you. I know this looks terribly busy, and yes, there will be a test. Kidding. But what this goes to show is full-service city means a lot. And these 20 little bubbles behind me with teeny tiny text, we could split that up into 50 more and still not cover every program and every service that the city provides. And so I think it is really, really incumbent on me to mention the awesome management team and all of their dedicated staff, who I could not fit on a slide at that size. They are the driving force behind all of this activity. 12 different departments, all led by inspiring managers you see here on the screen behind me. They work collaboratively across departmental lines, and their staff, their committed staff, are accountable and responsible for keeping our city going. I truly could not wish for a better team, and I am most appreciative for their commitment and support. Thank you to those who are in attendance today. And now, without delay, let me get right into the meat of the matter of why I believe that Shawnee is absolutely on the right track. So what you see here is 10 years worth of development, and I only picked one location because it was easy, because it was clustered. But what you see right there in those green circles is bare land in 2014 and residential and commercial buildings just a short 10 years later. And of course, this is the area just north and south of Interstate 40, but this kind of growth is happening all over the city. Within the last decade, Shawnee became home to just under 1,500 new homes and just a little over 600 new businesses. We continue to grow today. As a matter of fact, I just had permitting staff pull the numbers, and oh my goodness, just since October of last year, so just within the last 12 months, we had new builds and remodels to the tune of 3,700 residential permits and 1,700 commercial permits. That is a lot of new building, renewal, remodel, refresh for our entire city. That is a lot of activity for a city of our size. And of course, you can also see that in the population numbers. So city commission, city manager, department heads, and of course all of the city staff collaboratively work to support this continued growth. Since becoming a city in the late 1800s, again, 130 years old, the city of Shawnee has steadily grown in population from a mere 3,500 in 1900 to 3,100, over 3,100 in 2020. As of the latest census estimate produced in July of last year, we now have 31,803 residents spread across just under 12,000 households. For the past handful of decades, the city's growth has been predictably around 5%. We honestly believe this will ramp up considerably. And let me give you those 3 reasons why we believe that is the case. So there's that little green line that is a little better trajectory. The 6-lane widening of I-40 is coming our way. It has already started. For anybody trying to get to Midwest City, you will feel the pinch point. It is actually coming closer and closer to us over the course of the next several years, because 2 additional phases will start before 2028. And they're coming all the way to our doorstep at Highway 177. We are also blessed with the presence of more affordable housing than elsewhere in the central Oklahoma metro area. And if you look at our direct peer and counterpart on the opposing side of the metro, oh my gosh, we got it blown out of the water. So our housing market is hot and things move quickly. And if you're looking for a house, you have to be quick. And in addition to that, unlike other communities, we still have relatively fast commutes. If we have to sit through one traffic light, we get upset. Talk to somebody in Oklahoma City or Edmond, they're gonna laugh at us. But we're really glad it's like that here. So continued growth is in our stars. To be ready for this, we really wanted to understand what is near and dear to the citizens, and what does the City Commission want to see, and what as staff can we feasibly implement. So this continued growth means that we are going through noticeable change over the next few years. Changes in both the built environment, but also in our city's organization to be ready for this. Both affect methods and resources required to put these essential public services on the ground and continue to provide quality of life amenities to our residents, businesses, and visitors. The recent and anticipated growth in Shawnee and the sheer volume of work to be addressed by our city's workforce requires that the City Commission, staff, and residents really come together and come to a consensus on what are our goals, what objectives are we pursuing, what are the key activities that we need to implement. And for this very reason, this new 5-year strategic plan for the City of Shawnee was developed. It was just recently adopted. Residents provided their feedback through a very extensive community-wide 2023 survey. The City Commission carefully collaborated with the city department leaders, looked at the survey results, and really drew out what is important to the residents to come up with the overarching goals. The resulting strategic plan draft was then shared with the public and critiqued by the public. And I did read all 70 pages worth of public engagement comments, but it was most insightful. And again, we are absolutely on the right track. Now, with all that done, we have an agreed upon vision, mission, and values, as well as critical goals, objectives, and action steps. and they will guide our city into its next phase of growth. And these are the goals. Together, we believe that Shawnee will continue to prosper through collective focus on these 6 goals. For improved quality of life, focusing really on community dialogue, on revitalization, beautification, and public safety, we aim to create that supporting and welcoming and safe community for all. For strategic operational growth, where we're focusing on operations, revenues, and staff development, we must have workforce levels that are fiscally responsible, but also technologically advanced and responsive to city services. For robust economic development, we will collaborate with Shawnee Forward and other partners to promote, encourage, and enhance the creation of jobs and expand our local tax base. For modernized infrastructure, we focus on bridges, roads, water, sewer, and stormwater, because when that is right, we can attract more residents, more businesses. We want to make sure that we have resilient infrastructure, that we manage it efficiently, and that it supports our community's growth. Intentional city growth. Eventually, we're going to run out of lots to fill. We need to both look at future residential commercial development, focusing on smart planning. Where is infrastructure? Where could we provide infrastructure at a relatively low cost? Where can we grow? Because we are set up with the capacity to do so. And last but not least, improved housing opportunities. We seek to reactivate those currently vacant lots, revitalize our neighborhoods, promote housing production, and support continued homelessness prevention and mitigation. I have to take a little breather. 2024 was and still is a very busy year. It was growth focused, it was equipped with new strategic goals and objectives, but really, let's revisit what we set out to do for this year, because you'll be surprised, there was a lot. Let's briefly discuss what was on the list and those additional things that, best laid plans and all that, what was not on the list. So back in October of 2023, we rolled out this very big list of priorities. And mind you, 12 departments, 12 priorities, 300 staff in total. That's a lot of work to do, because some of these are not an easy lift. And so we got help where we needed, we secured funding where we needed, but we are complete on some, well underway on others, and others will continue, because you should never stop public engagement. You should never stop being fiscally responsible. So those will just continue in perpetuity. There's a lot to do. There was a lot that was done. Let me get into each one of these just a little more. The first one I would like to call out, and I'm pretty sure that most of you in the room have heard it, the aerospace industry is hot, and it will continue to get even hotter in the future. So we in Shawnee are at a perfect juncture of also close to Tinker Air Force Base, having an awesome partner in Gordon Cooper Technology, already having hair development, and lo and behold, having so much more space to do more. The tornado kind of messed with us because it took our beautiful terminal building, and we're gonna have to start new, but it was perfect timing because we could roll it in. So, originally it was called the Airport Terminal Development Plan. However, once we got into this effort, it really morphed into something bigger, and therefore it should really be called the Airport Strategic Growth Plan. And what you see right here is the tremendous growth opportunity that exists at the Shawnee Regional Airport. And we worked on this plan in partnership with the Oklahoma Department of Aerospace and Aeronautics, and greatly thank them for their funding support in this endeavor. Selected from several options, what you see on the top right is the preferred layout for the main gate terminal area. It describes the placement of the terminal that was destroyed in the April 23 tornado. The layout will keep the city's maintenance hangar, so we're maximizing, we're not replacing, we're maximizing, while it simultaneously expands the apron just west of the terminal so we can welcome more planes to our hometown. A secondary parking lot will be needed, more hangar construction is needed, more airport apron reconstruction is needed, all for the cost of just a mere $19.8 million in today's cost. Just wait a year to be much more. The bottom right shows an alternative that was selected from among 5 different options in what is currently a very blank area in the southeast quadrant of our airport. It has tremendous growth potential. It's already close to water and sewer infrastructure. And with these proposed layouts, we can really draw on maintenance operators, large hangar lease or owners who would like to reside there. There is some opportunity for on-airport manufacturing. Truly, the sky is the limit. Everything that you see there in gray laid on top of that aerial is expensive. So that would add another 22 million on a good day, and on a bad day, probably more. I can tell you that from the terminal loss, we have some money to rebuild the terminal, but we do not currently have secured all of the funding that will be required to put these $40+ million of infrastructure on the ground. So if you hear of an awesome opportunity for grants or for somebody who would like to donate, or let us know. Again, Shawnee Regional Airport has tremendous growth opportunity, and we want to have that growth come to us because we know what that means to our community. And then I grouped several other capital projects together because we talked about those in more detail during city commission meetings when we awarded construction projects, when we signed contracts and so forth. The city's auditorium, which functions as our recreation center, particularly for our active seniors, was in desperate need of a new roof. It is a beautiful old Art Deco building, but it just needed some help. And utilizing a state contract, the city was able to complete this repair in June of this year for the cost of just over $1 million. The pressure pave, a roadway repair project, was originally introduced to the Board of Commissioners and the public in 2023. Because this was a new process that had never been used in this area, we tried to roll this out early on because it's different. And we got some interesting feedback too. But ultimately what this allowed, this pressurized injection of crack repair material and then the sealing of the roadway with a waterproof membrane, it allowed us to address many more lane miles of roadway than a normal conventional overlay and get many more years out of those roadways because full depth reconstruction is oh so expensive. So for $2 million, we were able to address 19 lane miles. That's a lot. The next project is very dear to me, as well as the majority of Shawnee residents, according to the survey we rolled out for the Santa Fe Depot. Having set aside almost $1.4 million for this first phase of the depot restoration, we are just about wrapped up. And thanks to the work that was completed, our beautiful depot now has a watertight roof and no more site drainage issues. And then work also continues on American Rescue Plan Act funded water and sewer lines. It's kind of hard to show it once everything's been put back because then it looks just like a roadway or a sidewalk or a piece of grass, so that's what it looks like in the ground. The work that was already completed specifically is Independence and Central Loop, Marie Drive, Park Street, Thompson Heights, and our sewer pipe bursting project. Additional projects, of course, are underway, some just simply because they take longer. The city has, again, already completed several of the American Rescue Plan Act funded projects, but several more are underway. Edwards, Fay Alice, Hayes Street, Lowe's Loop, Midland. If you see us working, be kind and patient because It is improving our water and sewer infrastructure for the entire community, and yes, we do unfortunately have to open roads and make a mess for just a little bit. And in full compliance with the federal requirements, all of our ARPA money has been assigned, so we are not losing any money at the end of this year. And all projects are anticipated to be complete by the federally given deadline of December 2026. That is important because we as a community do not ever want to turn back money that was given to our care. The last of the listed 2024 capital projects is also well underway, and I'm hoping that you can really take in the scale of this project with those pictures that I provided. It is, of course, the construction of the city's new wastewater treatment plant, which started in 2023 and will continue into the next year. Shown on this slide is that massive, both in terms of finances as well as physical stature, $104 million project. This is one of the biggest projects the city has tackled to date, and once complete will replace a 1952 South Side wastewater treatment plant and a 1982 North Side treatment plant, as well as put a connecting 24-inch line in between. Similar to the work that was completed on the new water treatment plant last year, the new wastewater treatment facility will support continued growth all the way through 2064. And yes, this bubbled up, literally. As you know, the Shawnee Twin Lakes, those are our two municipally owned reservoirs. They provide our drinking water. It encompasses Lake 1 to the south and Lake 2 to the north. And the city constructed the lakes in 1935 and 1960, respectively. Again, for the primary purpose of municipal water supply and flood control, but we also use it for recreational purposes, and I'm glad for it. Every year, the dams for the Shawnee Twin Lakes are inspected and evaluated, and a third-party inspection report is then provided to the state agency. Since 2018, Lake 1 dam had a couple of issues, so we watched it closely, and when the rating declined, we took a closer look at it. Late last year, a geotechnical investigation has uncovered some structural anomalies within the dam. Again, it is an earthen structure built in 1935. Construction technology was not quite advanced as it is today, so it is not surprising. However, we are actively working both with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers as well as with the Oklahoma Water Resources Board to address this. So equipped with these detailed findings from that expanded geotechnical investigation, we created a battle sheet to be ready if something should go wrong. Don't worry, it's not going wrong. We also are under a current consent order from OWRB, and we are in full compliance. We have provided all of the documents and all of the key action steps that are required of us and continue to work with them closely. Right now, we have a specialized engineering firm on hand to look at the findings and to design the repair. It does not appear that a full depth rebuild is necessary, but the concept behind the repair is still being worked out, and we will share that as soon as that is available. So everything is good, all is in motion, and we will get this fixed, absolutely. The next project, not quite as far advanced as the others, is of course our Fire Station 3 remodel. It was one of the recommendations that came out of our 2023 Shawnee Fire Department Agency Evaluation and Cultural Assessment. In its current configuration, there are a variety of layout concerns and design components which affect both working conditions and process efficiencies. So in general, Fire Station 3 project will include not just the remodel, but also an addition just to the ground floor portion of the building. There are some limited updates that will be made to the utility system that is located in the basement. The existing fire station includes living quarters and apparatus bays and measures approximately 4,800 square feet. The remodel will add to the west side of that building where we have room to expand approximately another 1,300 feet for a combined 6,100 square feet. The remodel will offer a significant redesign of the living quarters, improving the kitchen, day room, locker room, sleeping areas, while also giving our firefighters a second bathroom. Good thing. To promote working conditions and process efficiencies, the remodel will also add on the west side, again, a shop area, the SCBA, the self-contained breathing apparatus and gear storage, decontamination areas, things that we currently don't have space for. They are just haphazardly stored in the actual vehicle bays. So this will be a great thing for our Fire Station 3. And lastly, the alterations will also include some updates to the north side paving and parking, and we're gonna make the dumpster look nicer because we're gonna hide it. Tornado recovery. In future State of the City addresses, I'm gonna continue talking about tornado recovery. This will stay with us for many years. I am truly grateful that for the second year in a row, I can bring you good news, but it is a continuing effort. We keep a running tally of what was damaged, and more importantly, what it will cost to repair. And therefore, you continue to see slightly revised damage numbers. I know that we started with 18 million, we are now closer to 24 million of needed repairs and reconstruction. However, the ongoing and positive engagement with both our Federal Emergency Management Agency and our very own Oklahoma State Department of Emergency Management, we got this together. We also have the first ever, the City of Shawnee, have the first ever FEMA community disaster loan in the state. This was a previously untapped resources by virtue of our state law that our Oklahoma municipalities could not tap into, an up to $5 million loan that oftentimes is actually forgiven at the end of the loan period. So, working with lots of attorneys, almost a year of paper shuffling, we got it. And there is now a pathway for the entire state of Oklahoma to do the same. We continue to work with the city's insurance pool, and I can tell you that we're getting so close. It is an ever smaller number of properties and assets where we still have to settle. And to date, the city has already been reimbursed $3.4 million by FEMA, while an additional $1.5 million has already been approved, and another $6 million of reimbursement are currently being reviewed. Before too soon, you will see reconstruction projects ramping up, and just to be sure that everybody understands, everything has to be fronted. So we prioritize reconstruction projects because we have to manage cash flow. And lastly, our team will make sure that we have a seamless transition, in all of this, really. Current version 4 of FEMA's Public Assistance Program and Policy Guide, PUBG, will change to version 5. It's terrifying. Public comments just closed, so we are waiting to hear when exactly this will go into effect, but we will be ready to transition. And financial stability. We all know that financial stability, community resilience, and city excellence are directly connected. I am truly grateful to report that the City of Shawnee continues to recover its operating reserves. Throughout the course of this fiscal year, we will again reach the reserves threshold the City Commission has wisely put in place. This reserve was the city's financial lifeline in the immediate disaster aftermath and supported the quick citywide storm debris removal. In addition to the operating reserves, our latest audited financials also show that year over year, our finances show a healthy growth. Now, I understand that if you look at the City Commission meetings and you see us coming in just above or below last year's sales tax is very volatile. But when you take 10 years and you see a year over year average growth of 6%, you're good. So what you also see on this is that our cost is going up at a slightly higher rate. We do find other funding to make up that gap. And it is really important that we explore process efficiencies. So we're looking at on-call contracts for services, lease agreements for a portion of our fleet. We will have to find different ways of doing business because sales tax is an extremely limiting revenue stream for municipalities. But our numbers are onward and upward. And yes, oh my, the planning for and the creation of homes for all of our residents, it makes my recovering planner heart sing. Shawnee is growing and we need more housing of all shapes and sizes. The best way to do this is to build the infrastructure, roads, water, and sewer. Or, better yet, utilize it where it's already in place. So, planners have this awesome idea of infill development, and the city therefore commissioned multiple code compliant and complete house plans that fit on these very sized lots. And we have been actively marketing those. Anybody who says infill or vacant lot or anything, housing, there you go, it's free, take it. It will make the redevelopment of these lots that are currently underutilized in the middle of neighborhoods, it will really move that forward. With the city attorney's assistance, the city also charted a pathway for a process that allows government-owned lots to be turned over to private development. There is a constitutional restriction of do not give the gift of public funding. We are working within that framework and have put in safeguards for the city at the same time as we incentivize private development. The awareness of housing becoming a potential showstopper for our continued growth has spread throughout the community. The recently established Housing Alliance under the guidance of South Central Industries is bringing together public and private partners and stakeholders that together will be able to make a significant dent in our housing shortage. And in addition, the City of Shawnee continues its support for all of the wonderful service providers, civic and faith-based organizations who really work on homelessness mitigation and prevention. And as a local government, we really, really, really want to share all of this information with the public. We often get calls for transparency. And no matter how often we put something out on the internet or social media or, blast it out through other channels, there is yet more that we can do. So this year we focused on monthly newsletters that are included in every utility bill. We rolled out the first ever Shawnee Civic Leadership Academy and had great success with it. And we're going to continue these efforts and find something new to add to this public engagement toolkit every single year. And of course, I wanted to mention other resources that were already in place because they're still a little underutilized. Best laid plans, there are a couple of additional things we accomplished this year. Our first ever Americans with Disabilities ADA transition plan is now in place. We do have an engineering design manual that will be rolled out to the City Commission come next commission meeting. Hangar construction for the first time in decades at the airport, new hangar construction. Main Street bridge replacement, you can now drive, you will no longer be stopped. And of course, this year we had the first commission election by award. We also ran into some trouble. Nothing we couldn't handle, but it's definitely something that we need to be aware of. At times we discover that what appears to staff as self-explanatory is not necessarily always transparent and easy to understand for our clients. So we are taking feedback, adjusting these processes where we can, and also publicizing this information to help everybody understand. I see a lot of video series of how to in the city's future, just by virtue of, it's really not that difficult once you understand, but the getting to the understanding part, if you have to navigate 3 different sites on our webpage, got it. Keeping this momentum going is, however, a little difficult, because I can tell you, just like other employers in this area, we also have difficulties attracting and retaining staff. So I think the best advice I can give to anybody and all who will listen to me, let's market Shawnee for the awesome place it is, so we can attract that great talent and keep it here. And now looking forward to the next year, what's in store for us? How are we going to do this? Because it's another long list. As you can see, several carryovers. However, we also have some new projects on this list, and I am super excited to talk about those. Let's start off with our 3 new major capital projects. 45th Street widening. The city is actively working towards the first phase of the 45th Street widening project. We will see the thoroughfare 4-laned to accommodate current and anticipated growth, as well as to provide a safer and more accessible transportation system. With the plans at the 95% stage, we are in the process of acquiring right-of-way, and once done, the ground will be broken. I am super excited to see this progress. The city is also excited about another transportation project for which we will partner with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation. This specific intersection will address congestion issues and safety concerns at Garrett's Lake Road and Highway 18. Much needed, we've heard it. The project is undergoing the required environmental study at this time, and thereafter will go to design, bid, and then ultimately construction. Now, don't hold your breath just yet. We will share additional information as it comes available from ODOT. The city of Shawnee will also tackle one additional new capital project. As a lot of you know, the city's current animal shelter was built many years ago. And it is certainly not large enough to serve our community's needs today. So the initial new shelter design includes improved office space, it includes meet your new furry friend rooms, and most importantly, many more panels than we currently have. So moving this project forward as quickly as possible will be great for the community. And a non-capital, non-construction project, Shawnee has a beautiful historic downtown, complete with a treasure trove of buildings, lots of character, so much history. Over the years, like in many towns across Oklahoma and elsewhere in the nation, new development has moved away from the downtown core, and once bustling main streets are now a little quieter, and in our particular case, we have a significant number of vacant and underused stores. The city is most interested in partnering with downtown businesses and property owners, as well as Shawnee Forward, to really encourage that economic revitalization appropriate for today's market. And the Main Street program, when you read their pamphlet, they describe our Main Street down to a T. So why not tap into resources, proven process, pathways, and everything else that has already been tested by so many of our peer cities? While we're doing all of this, these are some additional issues we need to be aware of. Governing a city is unlike any business or nonprofit you know. It's not a business, it's not a nonprofit, it's not anything other than a government, and there are so many layers: local rules, state rules, federal rules, and we have to comply with them all. And we have a modicum of control over some and zero control over others. So if you get upset with your government, because to the outside world it looks like all government ends with the city, there are certain things we can and other things we cannot do. It is upon staff to really help our residents understand all of these different layers and what can be moved forward and where we really should not spend our energy because it's futile and we can't move the needle there. Given this complexity of governmental rules and layers of rules, it is no surprise that there's so much misinformation and so much distrust of government out there. And yes, we as city officials, city staff, are much closer to the residents than even our state representatives, and particularly our congressional representatives. We get to hear a lot of stories. Some good, some not so nice. But yeah, we need to help our residents understand how we can help and where we cannot, because it is truly out of our jurisdiction, out of our hands. And, wait for it, money is the root of all growth and progress in our community. And you thought I was gonna say any more. Let's face it, without funding, all of these awesome things we know we can do, we really cannot do. So we have to find additional funding sources for Oklahoma municipalities. I am super excited that this year the Oklahoma Municipal League is getting ready to tackle that across the state. Because there is no easy answer. You can't just, add more sales tax or property tax or this tax or that tax, because our residents are taxed out. So we have to find a way to make this work. But we are truly the only state in the nation who still fund our municipalities with sales tax and sales tax only. This is what we've got in our back pocket. These are our aces. I cannot tell you how grateful I am for the diverse and really dedicated team we have. And the community partners, and the high level of volunteers. You put out a call for volunteers, and yes, you will find volunteers. Now, do they all have to be rainbow? Absolutely. But do the flower beds look beautiful afterwards? Yes, they do. And it is with those combined forces that we can really make those fresh ideas happen. Call to action. There are so many different ways to stay abreast of the latest and greatest information and to really get involved. I have spoken a little longer than I was supposed to because I did not look at my watch often enough, so allow me to skedaddle through the next slides very quickly, and I'll gladly throw those back up on the screen after we have questions. But yeah, find your ward, find your commissioner, let them know what is a high priority to you. If, however, you want to just see government in action and really understand the latest and greatest problems that the City Commission is dealing with, tune in. You don't even have to come to City Hall. It's available every third Monday at 6 o'clock. If you find something, you run into a pothole or you see a code enforcement issues, 24/7, any day of the year, anytime, there's a way to get to a staff member who can immediately address this or get it to the right person to take care of it. Now, sometimes we may tell you, this is not our road, but we passed it on to the county. That happens too. We're always looking for volunteers. Please, if you have some time and you would love to take care of your community and help us beautify it, check it out. We can always use volunteers. And with all that said, and I think that is kind of the theme for today, together we are truly better. So let's work together for a new 2025. I know that on the tables there were 10 cards with QR codes, and I'm expecting like a gazillion of questions. Question. There is a need for better communication, quicker response time, and approval time from the planning department. What is being done to improve this? That is an excellent question. I do not know who posed it. I'm hoping that this is just a recent issue. I know that you were woefully understaffed in our community development department, but there are some processy improvements that we really need to undertake. So I will take this back to the team because for rezonings, for plan review, for other things, it's not necessarily just one staff member, but multiple staff members. And as we continue to grow, and do you remember the number of permits processed since last year? As we continue to work through this entire workload of 5,000 permits, residential and commercial combined, it's a lot, and we don't have a lot of staff, so allow us to work on these process improvements. Question number 2, what's being done to improve public transportation? Most of you know that at this point in time, we have no fixed route public transit. Fixed route public transit is very expensive. There's not a single transit entity across the entirety of the United States who can make transit pencil and pay for itself. The current lay of the land in the state of Oklahoma, unlike other states, is that you have to put a transit system in place, run it for 3 years, show the Oklahoma Department of Transportation your ridership numbers, and then you may ask for funding support. Nobody quite has the $6, $7, or $8 million for the operational investment, and then the first 3 years of operational cost to put this in. It would be lovely for a city of our size to have a public transportation system, but it is really, really expensive. And for the first 3 years, there is truly no outside assistance for this, because ODOT is the gatekeeper for all of the Federal Transit Administration funding. And that is a specific ODOT requirement. That is not unique, that is unique to ODOT. That is not spread across other state departments. So it was interesting to see that when I came back to Oklahoma. Which section of 45th Street will be constructed? Seth, I'm looking to you, because I think I'm gonna get it wrong. We are ending just east of Union, right? Or just short of Union, just west. I knew I was gonna get it wrong. Thank you so much. I am so glad the Director of Engineering is in the audience. So we will start Burning Woods at that addition and go all the way to just west of Union. That is the first phase of the 45th Street project. That is, of course, the most difficult piece of that entire project by virtue of there are already developments nearby, right-of-way acquisition. Kickapoo will be a killer, but the safety improvements and accessibility improvements that come along with this project will be worth it. Are there any other questions? The question is the disaster loan from FEMA, $5 million, is that the max loan amount? And how much is the Shawnee loan through the disaster loan? What is the city's plan for these funds? Excellent questions. So yes, $5 million is the max for the community disaster loan. The city has not drawn on it because it is akin to a, oh my gosh, I forgot my banking terms now. Line of credit, yay, thank you. Line of credit, so we have not drawn on it. Ultimately, you may remember from the presentation that I spoke about reconstruction projects and cash flow. These $5 million will really help us fund some of these construction projects because we have to wait for FEMA approval of the necessary reimbursement. FEMA will approve the reimbursement, but there is a lag, and the lag can be quite long. When we were working on 2013 tornado damage at the lake, we received the last of the reimbursements in 2023. Now I'm keeping all my fingers and toes crossed. It won't take 10 years this time, but it is to bridge that cash flow issue. And to circle back to question number 1, I greatly appreciate the feedback we receive from our citizens, critiques and all, because I can tell you, if we don't understand how we can better serve our community, whether that is through improved response time, email, planning decisions, rezoning decisions, better process explanation, we are here for the city, for our residents. I mean, that is our job. And we do this not because the city pays tremendous amounts of money, because I can tell you, all of my department heads could go somewhere else into the private industry and make so much more. It is their heart. So help us understand how we can do better. Thank you.
Thank you all once again for being here, and thank you to our two sponsors today, SSM Health and Bank First, and also our host sponsor, OBU. There's a lot of information in those programs. Please take them with you. A lot of those QR codes that were on our screen are in those programs, so make sure you take those with you. There's also a lot going on in our community. We're in a really busy time of year for all of us, and I know we're all involved in a lot of different things, but there's a lot happening at Shawnee Forward also. So please check out our website at shawneeforward.com. And to remind you, the city's website is shawneeok.org. I got it. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Daniel Johnson. Daniel, can you stand up for a second? I don't know if everyone has met Daniel Johnson. He is fairly new to Shawnee Forward, and he really made all of this happen today. So thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks, everyone.